In the Shade of the Qur'an by Sayyid Qutb. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. Forward. Living in the shade of the Qur'an is a blessing known only to those who have tasted it. It is a blessing that elevates life, blesses it and purifies it. And praise be to God, He has granted me the grace to live in the shade of the Qur'an for a period of time during which I experienced blessings I had never known before. I tasted that blessing which elevates life, blesses it, and purifies it. In the shade of the Qur'an, I lived hearing God, glorified and exalted is He, speak to me through this Qur'an. I, the humble and insignificant servant, what an exalted and noble honour is this bestowed upon man! What a sublime elevation of life does this revelation confer! What a gracious rank does the most generous Creator bestow upon man! In the shade of the Qur'an, I looked down from above at the Jahiliyyah pervading the earth and the trivial and petty concerns of its people. I observed the jubilation of those wallowing in this Jahiliyyah with their infantile knowledge, perceptions and concerns. Just as an adult looking at the frivolities, efforts and babbling of children, and wondered what has happened to these people. Why do they wallow in this filthy mire and not heed the exalted and noble call, the call that elevates life, blesses it and purifies it? In the shade of the Qur'an, I contemplated the complete, comprehensive and pure perception of existence, its ultimate purpose, and the ultimate purpose of human existence. I compared this to the perceptions of Jahiliyyah in which humanity lives, in the east and west, north and south. And I asked, how can humanity live in such a stagnant swamp, in such a lowly state, in such utter darkness, while having access to such a pure pasture, such a lofty ascent, such a radiant light? In the shade of the Qur'an, I felt the beautiful harmony between human actions as desired by God and the movement of this universe created by God. Then I looked and saw the confusion humanity suffers due to its deviation from the cosmic laws, the clash between the evil and corrupt teachings imposed on it and its inborn innate nature created by God. And I asked myself, what wicked demon leads their steps to this hell? Oh, the pity for the servants! In the shade of the Qur'an, I saw that existence is much greater than its visible appearance, greater in its reality, greater in its numerous aspects. It is the world of the unseen and the seen, not just the seen world. It is both this world and the hereafter, not just this world. The human existence extends through the paths of this vast expanse. Death is not the end of the journey, but a stage along the way. What one gains in this world is not their entire share. It is just a portion of it. What one misses here will not be lost there. There is no injustice, no deprivation, no loss. The journey on this planet is but a voyage in a living, friendly universe, a world with a spirit that receives and responds, directed towards the one Creator, to whom the believer's spirit humbly turns. To God prostrates whoever is in the heavens and the earth, willingly or unwillingly, and their shadows in the mornings and the afternoons. Qur'an 13:15. The seven heavens and the earth and whatever is in them exalt him. And there is not a thing except that it exalts God by his praise. Qur'an 17:44. What comfort, what vastness, what intimacy, and what confidence this comprehensive, complete, vast and correct vision bestows upon the heart. In the shade of the Qur'an, I saw that humans are far more honoured than any estimation humanity has previously known or will know. A human is honoured by a breath from God's Spirit, And when I have proportioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, then fall down to him in prostration. Qur'an 15:29. With this breath he is a vicegerent on earth, and when your sustainer said to the angels, Verily, I will make upon the earth a viceroy. Qur'an 2:30. Everything in the heavens and the earth is subjected to him, and he has subjected to you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth, all from him. Qur'an 45:13. Because of this honor and elevation of humans, God made the bond that unites humanity the bond derived from this noble divine breath. He made it the bond of faith in God. Thus, the believer's creed is his homeland, his people, and his family. Consequently, humans gather on this basis alone, not on what animals gather for: grass, pasture, herd, and fence. Indeed, the believer hails from a lineage of profound nobility, his roots entwined with the timeless echoes of history. He is a member of that majestic caravan led by a noble assembly: Noah, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all. Truly, this community of yours is a single community, and I am your Lord, so revere me. Qur'an 21:92. This noble caravan, spanning the ancient corridors of time, encounters, as illuminated in the shadow of the Qur'an, similar trials, crises, and experiences across the ages, regardless of shifting locales and varied peoples. It stands against falsehood and blindness, tyranny and whim, persecution and injustice, threats and exile. Yet it strides forward with unwavering steps, a serene heart, assured of God's victory, clinging to hope in him, anticipating at every moment the sure and steadfast promise of God. And those who disbelieved said to their messengers, We will surely drive you out of our land, or you must return to our religion. So their Lord revealed to them, We will surely destroy the wrongdoers, and we will surely cause you to dwell in the land after them. That is for he who fears my position and fears my threat. One stance, one experience, one threat, one certainty, and one promise for the noble caravan. And one destiny awaited by the believers in the end as they endure persecution, threats, and intimidation. In the shade of the Qur'an, I learned that there is no room in this existence for blind coincidence or random haphazard. Indeed, we created everything according to a precise measure, and he created all things and determined their measure perfectly. Every matter unfolds with wisdom, although this profound wisdom may elude the limited vision of humans, for it may be that you detest something, yet God places much good in it. Perhaps you dislike something while it is good for you, and perhaps you like something while it is bad for you. God knows while you do not know. The causes people are familiar with may be followed by their effects, or they may not. The premises people deem inevitable may lead to their consequences, or they may not. This is because it is not the causes and premises that produce the effects and results, but rather the sovereign will of God that produces the effects and results, just as it produces the causes and premises alike. You do not know. Perhaps God will bring about after that a different matter, and you do not will except that God wills. The believer takes the means because he is commanded to do so. God is the one who determines their effects and results. Confidence in God's mercy, justice, wisdom, and knowledge is the sole secure refuge and the escape from fears and doubts. Satan threatens you with poverty and commands you to immorality, while God promises you forgiveness from him and bounty, and God is all-encompassing and all-knowing. Thus I lived in the shade of the Qur'an with a calm soul, a serene mind, and a clear conscience. I lived seeing the hand of God in every event and matter. I lived under God's protection and care. I lived feeling the positive and active attributes of the Almighty. Is he not who responds to the desperate one when he calls upon him and removes the evil? For he alone holds sway over his creatures, and he alone is truly wise, all-aware. And God is predominant over his affair, but most of the people do not know. And know that God intervenes between a person and his heart. He does what he wills. And whoever fears God, he will make for him a way out, and will provide for him from where he does not expect. And whoever relies upon God, then he is sufficient for him. Indeed, God will accomplish his purpose. There is no creature but that he holds it by its forelock. Is God not sufficient for his servant? And they threaten you with those other than him? And whoever God humiliates, there is none to honour him. And whoever God misguides, there is none to guide him. Existence is not left to blind mechanical laws. There is always behind the laws a managing will and an absolute will. God creates what he wills and chooses. Thus I learned that the hand of God works, but it works in its own way. We have no right to hasten it or suggest anything to God. The divine method, as it appears in the shade of the Qur'an, is designed to work in every environment, at every stage of human development, and in every state of the individual human soul. It is designed for this human being who lives on this earth, considering his nature, capacities, abilities, strengths, weaknesses, and changing states. It does not underestimate this being's role on earth or diminish his value in any form of his life, whether as an individual or as a member of a community. Nor does it elevate him beyond his capacity, above his mission for which God created him. It does not assume that the components of his nature are superficial, created by a law or erased by a stroke of a pen. The human being is this very creature, with his nature, inclinations, and abilities. The divine method takes his hand to elevate him to the highest degrees of perfection he is capable of, respecting his identity, nature, and components, guiding him on the path of ascending perfection towards God. Therefore, the divine method is designed for the long term, known by the creator of this human and the revealer of this Qur'an. So it is neither forceful nor impatient in achieving its long-term goals. The time ahead is vast, not limited by an individual's lifespan, nor hastened by a fleeting desire of a mortal fearing death might prevent the realization of its distant goal, as happens with followers of earthly ideologies who try to force everything into one generation, disregarding balanced natural progression because they lack patience for steady steps. In their hasty path, massacres occur, blood is shed, values are destroyed, and affairs become chaotic. Eventually, they and their artificial ideologies collapse under the hammers of nature that no forced ideology can withstand. Islam, however, moves gently and smoothly with human innate nature, pushing it here, restraining it there, straightening it when it bends, but never breaking or destroying it. It is patient with it, with the patience of the knowledgeable and insightful, confident in the defined goal. What is not achieved in this round is achieved in the second, third, 10th, 100th or 1000th round. Time is expansive, the goal is clear, and the path to the great objective is long. Just as the towering tree grows, sinking its roots deep into the soil, extending its branches and intertwining, so does Islam grow and extend slowly, gently and confidently, becoming what God wants it to be. The plant may be covered with sand. Some of it may be eaten by worms, it may be scorched by thirst or drowned by rain. But the insightful farmer knows it is a plant for survival and growth, enduring all the pests in the long run, so he is neither forceful nor anxious, nor does he try to ripen it with unnatural means. It is the divine method in the entire existence, and you will never find in the way of God any change. The truth in God's methodology is fundamental in the construction of this existence. It is not an accidental occurrence or an unintended coincidence. Indeed, God is the truth, and whatever they invoke other than him is falsehood, and God is the Most High, the Grand. God created this universe with truth, not mixed with falsehood. God did not create this except in truth. Our Sustainer, you did not create this aimlessly. Exalted are you. Truth is the foundation of this existence. If it deviates from it, it corrupts and perishes. If the truth had followed their desires, the heavens and the earth and whoever is in them would have been ruined. Therefore the truth must prevail and falsehood must vanish. No matter what appearances suggest, they will eventually reveal the clear truth. Rather, we dash the truth upon falsehood, and it destroys it, and thereupon it departs. Goodness, righteousness, and benevolence are inherently true, and they endure on earth just as truth does. He sends down water from the sky, and the valleys flow according to their measure, swelling with foam. And from what they melt in the fire, seeking to make ornaments or utensils, arises a foam similar to it. Thus does God illustrate the contrast between truth and falsehood. The foam vanishes, cast off as scum, but what benefits humanity remains on the earth. Thus does God set forth parables. Have you not seen how God presents an example? A good word is like a good tree, its roots firmly anchored, its branches reaching into the sky. It yields its fruit in every season by the permission of its sustainer. God sets forth parables for humanity so that they may reflect, and the example of a bad word is like a bad tree, uprooted from the earth, having no stability. God strengthens those who believe with a firm word in this world and in the hereafter, but he lets the wrongdoers go astray, for God does what he wills. What an amazing tranquility does this vision bestow! What a marvelous peace does it pour into the heart! What a firm confidence in truth, goodness, and righteousness! What a stunning strength and superiority over the transient illusions of reality does it instill in the soul! From my time living in the shade of the Qur'an, I have arrived at a decisive, unwavering certainty. There is no rectification for this earth, no solace for humanity, no tranquility for the human being, no elevation, no blessing, no purity, and no harmony with the laws of the universe and the nature of life, except by returning to God. The return to God, as it is illustrated in the shade of the Qur'an, has only one form and one path. It is the return of all life to the methodology God has outlined for humanity in his noble book. It is by governing life with this book alone, and referring to it alone in all matters. Otherwise, it is corruption on earth, misery for people, plunging into filth, and a return to the pre-Islamic era of Jahiliyyah that worships desires instead of God. But if they do not respond to you, then know that they are merely following their own desires. And who could be more astray than one who follows his desires without guidance from God? Indeed, God does not guide the wrongdoing people. Adhering to God's methodology as outlined in his book is not a matter of personal preference. It is the very essence of faith. Without it, faith is but an illusion. It is not for a believing man or woman when God and his messenger have decreed a matter to have any option in their decision. We have set you on a clear path of religion, so follow it, and do not follow the inclinations of those who do not know. Indeed, they will never be able to help you against God at all. And indeed, the wrongdoers are protectors of one another, but God is the protector of the righteous. This matter is of utmost seriousness. It concerns the very foundation of faith and the well-being or misery of humanity. This humanity, which is the creation of God, can only unlock the secrets of its nature with keys made by God. It can only heal its diseases and ailments with the remedy that comes from his hand. Glory be to him. He has placed in his methodology alone the keys to every lock and the cure for every disease. And we send down of the Qur'an that which is healing and mercy for the believers. Indeed, this Qur'an guides to that which is most suitable. Yet humanity refuses to return the lock to its maker or bring the sick to their creator. It does not follow concerning its own self, its humanity, its happiness, or its misery, The same approach it follows with the trivial material devices it uses for its daily needs. It knows to call the factory engineer to repair the device. But it does not apply this principle to the human being, to return him to the factory from which he came, or consult the Creator who made this wondrous, noble, complex and delicate human device. He knows what is in the hearts. Does he who created not know, while he is the subtle, the acquainted? From here arises the suffering of misguided humanity, the poor, miserable and confused humanity. It will not find guidance, will not find the right path, will not find comfort, and will not find happiness until it returns human nature to its great Creator, just as it returns the trivial device to its small maker. The removal of Islam from the leadership of humanity was a monumental event in its history and a devastating calamity in its life, a catastrophe unparalleled in all its afflictions. Islam had assumed leadership after the earth had become corrupt, life had stagnated, leaderships had decayed, and humanity had tasted the woes of decayed leaderships. Corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea by reason of what the hands of people have earned. Islam took leadership with this Qur'an, with the new vision it brought, and with the law derived from this vision. It was a new birth for humanity, greater in essence than the birth that marked its creation. This Qur'an established a new vision for humanity about existence, life, values and systems. It also realized a unique social reality that was beyond its imagination before the Qur'an created it. Yes, this reality was of such cleanliness, beauty, grandeur, elevation, simplicity, ease, practicality, positivity, balance and harmony that humanity could not have conceived it had God not willed it for them and realized it in their life in the shade of the Qur'an, by the methodology of the Qur'an and by the law of the Qur'an. Then the devastating catastrophe unfolded. Islam was stripped from its mantle of leadership. In its place, Jahiliyyah crept back in, cloaked in myriad guises. The materialistic thinking that humanity, like children bedazzled by a bright toy or a colourful garment, now gazes upon with naive wonder. There exists a cadre of deceitful misleaders, adversaries of humanity, who place the divine methodology in one scale and human creativity in the realm of matter in the other. With insidious cunning they present a false dichotomy to humanity. Choose. Choose either the divine path and abandon all human creativity, or embrace the fruits of human intellect and forsake the methodology of God. This is a vile and malicious deception. The truth is far from their presentation. The divine methodology is not an enemy of human creativity. Instead, it is the very wellspring of this creativity and its rightful guide. It ensures that man can fulfill his role as God's vicegerent on earth, a role granted, equipped, and endowed by God with latent capabilities to match the duty imposed upon him. God harnessed the cosmic laws to assist him in this quest, harmonizing his nature with the nature of the universe to enable life, work, and creative endeavors, provided that such creativity remains an act of worship to God, a means of expressing gratitude for his boundless blessings, and adheres to his covenant of vicegerency, which demands acting and moving within the bounds of what pleases God. Those who place divine methodology in opposition to human creativity are ill-intentioned, malicious figures, preying on weary, bewildered humanity whenever it seeks respite from wandering and yearns to heed the voice of a sincere guide, to return from perilous confusion and find solace in God's embrace. Yet there are others who, despite their good intentions, lack comprehensive awareness and profound understanding. These souls are dazzled by humanity's discovery of natural forces and laws, awestruck by man's material triumphs. This awe creates a perceived divide between natural forces and faith-based values, actions and their tangible effects on the universe and life. They compartmentalize natural laws and faith-based values into separate domains, believing that natural laws operate independently of faith-based values, producing outcomes regardless of belief or disbelief, adherence to God's path or deviation from it, governance by divine law or human caprice. This is a grave misconception. It falsely separates two types of divine laws that are in essence inseparable. Faith-based values are as integral to God's laws in the universe as natural laws. Their outcomes are intertwined, with no justification for separating them in the believer's perception and understanding. This integrated perception is what the Qur'an instills in the soul when one lives in its shade, teaching this unity while recounting the people of the previous scriptures, their deviations, and the ultimate consequences of their straying. Had the people of the book believed and been righteous, we would have removed their misdeeds and admitted them to gardens of bliss. Had they upheld the Torah, the Gospel, and what was revealed to them from their sustainer, they would have received provision from above them and beneath their feet. And this profound understanding is instilled while recounting Noah's promise to his people. So I said, seek forgiveness from your sustainer. Indeed, he is ever a perpetual forgiver. He will send rain from the sky upon you in continuing showers, and give you increase in wealth and children, and provide for you gardens, and provide for you rivers. And it is reinforced through the divine principle linking the inner state of people with the external realities that God manifests upon them. Indeed, God will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. Belief in God, worshipping Him sincerely, and establishing His law on earth. All these are manifestations of God's laws. These laws are active and effective, emanating from the same divine source as all other cosmic laws, whose effects we observe through sense and experience. At times, deceptive appearances may mislead us into perceiving a divergence between cosmic laws, especially when we see that adherence to natural laws brings success even when faith-based values are ignored. This seeming divergence may not reveal its consequences immediately, but ultimately it unveils them. This is what transpired with Islamic society itself. Its ascent began from the point where natural laws in its life converged with faith-based laws. Its decline began from the point of their divergence. It continued to descend as the divergence widened until it reached the abyss when it neglected both natural laws and faith-based laws altogether. In stark contrast stands today's material civilization. It is like a bird fluttering with one powerful wing while the other wing is broken. It ascends in material creativity as much as it descends in human meaning, suffering from anxiety, confusion, and psychological and nervous disorders that drive the sane among them to cry out for help. However, they fail to find guidance to God's path, which alone is the remedy and cure. God's law for humanity is an integral part of his overall law in the universe. Implementing this law must positively coordinate the course of human life with that of the universe. The law is but a fruit of faith and cannot stand alone without its profound root. It is meant to be implemented within a Muslim community, just as it is intended to contribute to building such a community. It integrates with the entire Islamic perception of grand existence and human existence, fostering piety in conscience, purity in feeling, grandeur in concerns, nobility in character, and righteousness in behavior. Hence, the integration and harmony between all of God's laws, whether termed natural laws or faith-based values, become apparent. All are parts of God's comprehensive law for this existence. Man, too, is a force within existence. His actions, will, faith, righteousness, worship, and activities are forces with positive effects in this existence. They are connected to God's comprehensive law for existence. All work in harmony and yield their full fruits when they combine and harmonize. While their effects corrupt, life becomes disordered, and misery and unhappiness spread among people when they diverge and clash. That is because God would not change a favor which he had bestowed upon a people until they change what is within themselves. Thus, the connection is strong between human actions and feelings and the course of events within the scope of the divine law that encompasses everyone. No one suggests tearing apart this connection, calls for disrupting this harmony, or stands between people and God's running law, except an enemy of humanity who drives it away from guidance. Humanity should repel this enemy and remove him from its path to the noble sustainer. These are reflections and insights drawn from a life lived in the shade of the Qur'an. May God benefit and guide through them, and you do not will except that God wills. Sayyid Qutb.